Hello again. Thank you for watching this video and studying your math with us. Today's topic is least common multiples. So we're going to find the least common multiple, define and find it, and we'll talk about two ways to do it. One is using prime factorization and the other is using multiples of the largest number. There is an alternative method that's discussed in your text, but as long as you can do it with these two methods, I'm not going to insist on you being able to do that. And the reason we're doing this is because we need to write a fraction with an indicated denominator, because soon we're going to be adding fractions with adding and subtraction fractions with unlike denominators. So, what is a least common multiple? Well, the LCM of two whole numbers is the smallest whole number that is divisible by both of those numbers. That means it goes into that. And again, we're going to discuss a multiple of the largest number method. We're going to discuss a prime factorization method, and we're really not going to talk about the alternative method, although it is in your book. Let's talk about some examples then. So suppose we want to find the least common multiple of these. That means a number that 10 goes into, that 8 goes into, 6 goes into, and 4 goes into. You take the biggest number, which is 10, and you add 10 to 10, and you get 20. And actually, before you do that, you say, oh, do any of these numbers go into the biggest number? Well, they don't, so I have to add 10, and I check, do these numbers go into 20? They don't. All of them don't. Do all of those numbers go into 30? No. 40? No. 50? No. 60? No. And you keep trying, and finally you get to the number 120. And 4 goes into 120, 6 goes into 120, 8 goes into 120 15 times, and 10 goes in 12 times. So the least common multiple is 120 for that one. Now, the prime factoring method would work this way. I would take each number. So here what I would do is I would take 4 and I would write that as a prime factorization of 2 squared. 6 is 2 times 3. 8 is 2 cubed. And 10 is 2 times 5. So each factor must be represented in the least common multiple, and it must be represented in with the highest exponent. So when I look across these, I see a factor of 2, I see factors of 3, and I see factors of 5. The highest exponent I see on 2 is 3. The highest exponent I see on 3 and 5 are 1. So you see this is 8 times 15. And you see we get 120 that way as well. And I think this is probably the most powerful way. Let's do this next problem that way. So I have 12, 15, 18, and 20. So this is 2 squared times 3. This is 3 times 5. This is 3 squared times 2. And this is 2 squared times 5. So the least common multiple is every factor that is up there has to be represented. So I have factors of 2, 3, and 5. Now the highest exponent of 3 is 2. The highest exponent of 2 is 2. And the highest exponent of 5 is 5 to the first power. So this is going to be, the least common multiple is going to be 4, and 9 times 5 is 45. So 4 times 45 is 0, carry the 2, and it is 180. So the answer to that problem is 180. So we talked actually about the multiple method. We also talked about the prime factorization method on that slide. Now, what we want to do is we're moving ahead into a work area. So what you should do is pause the slide, do some work, and then move ahead to get the answer. I'll be back in a bit. Well, first of all, here's the set of problems. I'll be back in a bit to discuss these with you. Okay, I am back. Let's go through and do these. We want to find the least common multiple. Between those is going to be 12. Now between these two, it's going to be 30. Between these two, notice that 8 goes into 48, so that has to be the least common multiple. And here, 24 is 2 cubed times 3, 8 times 3, and 36 is 3 squared times 2 squared. So the least common multiple here is going to be 2 cubed times 3 squared, or 72. Now we rewrite each fraction with the indicated denominator by multiplying top and bottom by 1. So 4 goes into 12 3 times, so that means I'm going to be writing 3 over 12. Here I'm going to be 20 over 45. Here I'm going to be 35 over 49. Here I'm going to be 24 over 40. Here I'm going to be 12 over 32, and here I'm going to be 40 over 60. Okay, and now down here, find the LCM of the denominators, because that's what we're going to be doing as we go forward. So if we look at 6 and 9, the common denominator there is going to be 18, the least common denominator. If I look at these next ones, the least common denominator is going to be 63. If I look at these, the least common denominator, well, 15 is 3 times 5, and that is 2 squared times 5 is 20. This is 15. That is 20. And so it's going to be 60, right? Because it's going to be 2 squared times 15. 4 times 15 is 60. If I look over here, the common denominator between those two is going to be 36. If I look down here across those, the common denominator is going to be, let's see, 4 is 2 squared, 16 is 2 to the 4th, and 20 is 2 squared times 5. And so what we're going to see there is that's going to be 80. Over here, we have 7 times 2 to the 4th, and 2 to the 4th is 16. So the answer over here is going to be 112, and those are the answers to those. Now, a serious student will want to read the book, look at the examples in the book, and do problems until they felt good about it. But for now, time is precious. Each day must count. Do the math. It will make you strong. Take care, and see you in class.